welcome to the Two Dudes Talk Movies podcast. I'm Cam.
I'm Luke.
And today we have two very special guests, man. They've been around EIU for the longest, man. Big film students. I like to call them my friends, classmates, et cetera, et cetera. Today we have Ryan Bevers, Matt Williamson. Hello, gentlemen.
Woo! Glad to be here. Hey guys, it's a pleasure to be here on the Two Dudes Talk Movies podcast. I've always wanted to be here. I consider myself the third dude that talks movies, so it's an honor to be here. And I consider you a friend and you a friend, so it's good to be here.
Not that guy. Not Matt.
Not me.
Come on, now you know I do.
I was gonna say I appreciate being the fourth dude that is going to be talking movies today.
If we want to go specifics, man, Matt is really a third member. He's been on here before, so
True. It's true.
I'm just different. Come on. I love me.
Well, before we get into it, just what all do you guys do? What do you do with your life?
You can go first.
So I'm a production student here at EIU. I am a senior. I have kind of been around some of the student media, WEIU, the radio station. I worked at the news station for a time. I do videography work with EIU's marketing department. So I'm pretty invested in the film world. I really like sound stuff, so I do a lot with like boom operating and stuff like that. It's a really good time, and I love doing what I do, so I'm glad to kind of put some of my insights into our discussions today.
Yeah.
I am.
Absolutely.
Matt.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm a junior here. I'm another television and video production student. I do work at Newswatch, which is the on-campus TV station. I do reporting, anchoring, videography. Then I also work at the on-campus radio station as well, Hitmix 88.9 WEIU. In addition to that student media, I also do like short films and stuff in my free time, and as well for like production classes too.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I was about to ask you what you do with your life. You're here every week.
I'm just here for the podcast. That's
know.
it, guys. Nothing else.
But today we are talking about the 2010 action comedy film Scott Pilgrim versus the World. This was actually, we always let the guests pick, and I'll let them explain in a minute why they picked this movie. But the film stars, let me see.
Who it stars?
Yeah, Michael Cera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Aubrey Plaza, Kieran Culkin, Chris Evans, and Brie Larson. That's a lot of
stacked cast,
you
bro.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the film is about, in simple terms, it's about Michael Cera, Scott Pilgrim. He has a girlfriend at first, but he finds his other girl. What's her name?
Girl of his dreams.
Yeah,
Ramona Flowers.
Oh, yeah.
And he wants her, and they kind of hit it off. But after a while, he realizes he has to go through hell and back.
It's true. He really does.
What was it?
If you're gonna have to date me, you may have to defeat my 7 evil exes.
7 different.
I would do it.
People to date her after personally, after I hear that, like, I have to fight people for you. It's
Not fight, defeat.
Yeah. Defeat.
Oh, dude,
7.
Cam could definitely defeat somebody. Are you kidding me? Come on now.
I'm not doing it.
You could.
But yeah, that's pretty much the premise of the movie. But I want to ask you two, why'd you pick it this week?
Well, for me personally, I just really like the style of Scott Pilgrim versus the World. It's one of my favorite movies. In fact, on the social media letterbox, I have it listed as my favorite.
What's your
I really
at?
do. Huh?
What's your at? You can put yours too.
Beeves Man Funny.
Okay.
I have to look mine up. I don't know.
I'll find. I will put it in.
But I really like Edgar Wright's style, and also too, I feel like it just has this kind of root in like nerd culture and stuff like that. Like, got a lot of like game references and stuff like that, and I think that's really cool. I'm really into a lot of that stuff, so I really enjoy it. I'm very excited to talk about it. It's cool stuff. What about you, Matt? Yeah. I know you like this movie.
I was gonna say I do really like this movie a lot. I think that for me, one of the biggest reasons why I picked it is that not only is it very unique, but the movie is also pretty old as of right now. I mean, it's 15 years old.
Yeah.
It's been around for a while, and I think that even though it is 15 years old, like, it still holds up well. I think the acting holds up, the directing, especially the special effects.
For sure.
Especially for 2010, I think the special effects hold up really well. And I think that it's one of those movies that either you know it and you like it, or you don't know it and you never heard of it before.
Fair. Do you think, like, well, obviously it's a place to dislike the movie. I don't know, just going off you said you either hate it, you either don't know it, or you love it. But
Yeah.
I think we have mixed opinions on
Yeah.
those too.
I'm
But
excited to get into that.
If you follow us all on Letterboxd, you may have seen, but we'll get to that later.
yeah, we can hop into general thoughts. Matt, you can go first.
Yeah. Oh, about the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I've seen it multiple times. I rewatched it a couple days ago. I think that the movie is great. I think the movie is very unique. not just in its narrative structure, but just sit and watch it for a little bit, Sure. There's a lot of standouts from the movie. I think that the cinematography is a big one for me. I think that the special effects obviously are another big one. But even with this watch through, some stuff I was noticing more was like the transitions. Mm-hmm. There's one part where Scott is hanging out with Knives Chow and he sees Ramona at the library, and he's kind of like dazed and like not really paying attention. And then Steven is the name of the other character. He comes in and comes in and like bothers him, and he like comes into frame. The way that like that's edited together is like so different and unique, and it's very cool and it's very fitting to the story.
Gotcha. Right.
Yeah, I think I really like it. I think when you think back to that movie and all the people, I think you have a lot of really good performances. I think you have a lot of, like you said, Matt, kind of at the beginning, a lot of big names now, but who weren't really as big of names then. And you get to just see them really shine. A lot of like young people. I think a lot of really good performances. I just love the way it's shot and how it's edited. I think it's very punchy. I think it's very quick. Like they don't hold on shots for very long. So I think it just like, it all just really builds this kind of vibe. And I think it really is the perfect movie to just like turn your brain off and kind of just take it in and enjoy it. And that's the kind of movie that I like tend to really enjoy. And also I love the action in the movie. Yeah. I think it's so over the top and so just like crazy. I just love like seeing him like fly through the air. Like me and him were just dying when we were watching him fight like the first evil ex-boyfriend who like comes out like dancing and stuff. Dude, it was killing us, bro. It was the best.
All right. I have been told to watch it like for a couple years, but it just didn't seem like my type of thing to watch. But as I grew older, I got like, I just kind of figured like, why not just watch everything? That's when I really like started to appreciate movies and really get into like watch everything. So I just watched it this past summer, and it was definitely a movie I could turn my brain off to and just kind of sit back and relax and not think too much on, which I really liked about it. And I like how it wasn't so, in a lot of action movies, there's a lot of like darkness with the violence and everything, or like when there's any type of conflict, it's just kind of negative related. And although there is a conflict and it is negative related, it's really fun at the same time. And I know there's other movies like that, but this was like one of the first ones I've seen, and I've noticed, you can watch the Mario movie or whatever, but this is the one. This is one of the first ones I reckon. I'm like, oh man, this is like kind of. Obviously, there are films to enjoy, but this is just like fun. I right. feel like a kid watching it.
Right.
But yeah, definitely great acting. Lighting was really fun. Sound design is really good or well done. Yeah. Oh yeah, you get the sound.
I love that.
Yeah, but yeah, I had a fun time watching it. But I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. I know you said that earlier in one of your.
It is. It's one of my personal favorites. I could definitely understand why somebody would either not like it very much, not be super into it. But for me personally, for the type of movies that I like to watch, I think it just kills.
Yeah. Fair. Luke?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think this is one of those movies that you really just kind of got to like sit back, tune everything out, and just enjoy it. And that kind of made it hard to take notes on, to like think about it, because it really is just a movie that you need to sit down, have fun with. I do think it's a good movie, but if you want to hear the things I like, you must first listen through the 7 evil cons that I have written down.
No, this is crazy. Actually, we have to defeat all 7.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm very interested to hear what some of your criticisms are for the movie.
And
this is gonna be good.
I was thinking, bro. Off camera,
Dr.
a couple weeks ago, that was like,
bro has a case of the giggles, bro.
Yeah, he's not making it out.
I'm about to get outed right here live.
I remember a couple weeks ago, that was just like, Luke, have you ever liked him?
Oh my God.
Have you seen this guy's letterbox?
I'm never beating that allegation,
Luke's
guys.
Letterbox right now.
Oh my gosh, sorry, that
the
was
most negative place on earth.
I like the movie. Yeah, you are allowed to like movies here, Luke.
I try.
I'm sorry, I just remembered that. But what are your?
I do need a preface. This is a good movie. I do like it. It's just I got things to say. But
what's up?
The first one is kind of like a 2-parter, but the cinematography at times doesn't sit right with me. Hold. There's a lot of like unnecessary cuts, and like it just feels abrupt, and it's mostly because of the scene transitions and how Ryan said that they're quick and they move on with it. They don't linger. He means it. They don't linger at all. Like there's one scene earlier on where they're walking, I think, out of the library down the street, and the camera goes like past a tree and they're in a completely different location immediately. Yeah. Like it's really abrupt and just kind of like bops you up over the head, and that kind of hurt. But like,
do you think it kind of? I mean, you can't shoot every. And I'm not saying like you're wrong because obviously you're entitled, but like, do you think some things aren't supposed to be as explained because of the atmosphere of the movie?
I don't think everything needs explained. Like, it definitely ties into the tone of the movie, and I like that a lot. Like, the tone of this movie is one of the pros that I have. It's good in that regard. It's just like, from a standpoint of filmmaking, I feel like it's a little too quick and abrupt for my taste.
I guess I just feel like for me, it's like I know a lot of that movie. It's based off of a comic book, and so I feel like to me, it's like all in this like ode to just trying to be as like quick, trying to always have something new on screen. Kind of how like if you're reading a comic book, you're not going to get the same panel twice in a row. It's like in this movie, it's just constantly switching between stuff, giving you new visuals, giving you more to look at. But to me, I could also see why that is a con of it, because there were a lot of times where I'd be like, wow, this is just like, it doesn't let you breathe. It is just like boom, boom, boom. But I happen to like it. I happen to like that personally.
All right.
Well, that was just the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was technically 1 and 2.
Okay.
1 and 2.
They're kind of similar. Yeah. 3 is the VFX. I gotta disagree with you guys on that one. Yeah, I think some of them aged a little poorly, where it's just kind of like you can clearly tell.
Like
that
what
it's
specifically
VFX.
like stood out to you?
So like in that first fight with the first Evil X, when like the demon angel things like show up, like the white outline of them is really stark compared to the background. So like it's just really obvious.
They are ghosts.
I get that, but like
They are demons.
I know,
chicks.
but like the VFX of it is just like really obvious, and then like as characters are, I think I wrote it down. Yeah, it's one of the other cons, I guess, that ties into that. And like the fight scenes as characters like float through the air and stuff, it's just really obvious. Like in the second fight, when Scott gets kicked like up against the building, he like gets kicked. A PNG briefly of him like falling appears, and then it like spirals out and then collapses into the building, and then it cuts, and then you see him like actually falling practically.
Sure.
So it's, to me, it's noticeable enough that I'm gonna dock it a little for that, but that's just me. I've never liked a movie apparently, so like, you know. But
well, what I will say though about like the visual effects specifically, I guess to me, like the way that the demons look during that first fight, and also the way that like he gets like thrown into the building, I think that all adds to like the style of the movie, honestly. And I think that you can argue, okay, well the visual effects don't hold up in the sense of, oh, it actually looks like he's getting thrown through the building. No, I don't think so. But I think that it's absurd and weird and crazy and different, and I think that it could look way, way, way worse. And I think that it looks like that on purpose. I think that it's stylized to look like that, to really add to like the absurdity of the whole movie.
No, I mean, honestly, I couldn't agree more. I feel the same way. But also, too, again, like this is a very easy movie for me to just like talk very highly about because I like it so much. But I mean, and of course it is a movie from 2010, and I think this movie also does just try to do a lot of like really like big crazy stuff. Like I feel like 90% of that movie is just like something VFX is happening. But I don't know, like you said, I think it was just all part of the style. Like, and I think that's what kind of it feels so good about it to me, is even though it does kind of age, it does feel very intentional.
Yeah. I think if there's like little errors in it, I don't know. We're in production class, so I think we can kind of understand how hard it is to even do it, even though you have like such a big budget towards it. That I can let it slide. But if it gets to a point where it's like distracting and it's just like blatantly obvious, like I don't watch a lot of this super. What's up?
I was gonna say, can I pose a question to you real quick? Then
What's up?
So I guess then if your criticism of it is that like, oh, like it looks like old and dated, do you think it would look better if it looked like the modern day Marvel movies where like it looks like someone's getting thrown through an actual building? Like, would you prefer that realized action, that like realism action, over like the stylized?
Depends. It's like some of those movies are a little 50-50 on the way that they handle it. Like you can get some movies that are really good with their VFX and stuff. Like I know a lot of people don't like Eternals, but I think that did a good job with its VFX. And then you get, I know you were smiling over that, but then you get stuff like Captain America 4, and it's an obvious green screen with a visual error where Anthony Mackie looks bald in a scene. So like, I don't know, it's a little hit or miss. But like, if I had to choose between the two, I think it's okay for the style of this, but I'm still going to point it out because every time it happens, it's distracting to me, like Cam said.
I mean, it's not distracting to the point where like, where it's like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing, you know? But I mean, I'll notice it, but obviously I'll get over it in like 2 seconds because there's another like, there's action on the screen. Like I'm not gonna dwell on seeing a pixel or a PNG or like a green screen coming through, unless like I said, like it's taking my entire attention away.
And I think that's something that the editing and the pace of the movie, kind of like you said, kind of helps. Is like some of those things that would be a little bit dated. I feel like everything just moves so like quick. You're just always like thinking about this new thing. It's like constant stimuli. You know what I mean? And that's what I like about it.
We at 4.
I was gonna say we need.
Yeah,
to see
I
what
know. I just
evil
never
cons
liked a
are.
movie. Like it's not. Yeah,
Here we are.
The dialogue. The dialogue.
Really?
Yeah,
with it?
I didn't.
I happen
I didn't
to
like
like
some
it.
of the dialogue. It felt like kind of.
The vegan line goes crazy, dude. You were vegan, now you will be gone.
Yeah,
Classic.
I don't know. Like it's just a little bit cringy. Like I know that makes sense for like the style. I know, but like, guys,
That's the point.
Guys, who's gonna tell him that that's the point of the movie?
I'm gonna quit while I can. But yeah, I don't know. It just felt a little like strange and out of place at times. Like there's one where let's see, Ramona's saying something like she compliments him almost, or like says they're dating or implies it briefly, and he's like, "So does that mean we're dating?" Scott talking, and she's like, "Oh, did I say that? Must have been a slip of the tongue." And Scott just goes, "Tongue." and I'm like, I
Look at that. We laughing now, and we aren't even watching the movie, bro.
Yeah, I'm like-
imagine if we were watching this, we'd be dying.
My question though is like, obviously Scott Pilgrim is this like incel character, right? Who is dating this high school Chinese girl, right?
Yeah.
So it's like to you, like to me, it seems like that dialogue is something that Michael Cera's character would say in that moment, you know?
I mean, it is, but it's just a little bit too cringy.
So do you
for
think
me.
that the dialogue is cringy or that the character is cringy?
I like the characters though. That's the weird thing.
That's their
I'm confused.
That's the character.
like.
Dialogue are the characters.
But do you think it's just a matter of it's not funny to you, or it's just like this is just like
I don't know,
bad
because there's
writing?
like how you mentioned the vegan example, like that one's funny, like I laugh at that.
The vegan one?
Yeah, but then I get ones like tongue, and I'm like, why did you say that? You could have just not said anything, and we could keep moving. So it's like I don't know.
But I feel like
it just
it's
feels
just-
out of place, I guess.
I feel like it's just all in service to making his character just feel like such like an incel and just such like he's just a weirdo. He's just a weird guy.
Yeah.
And everything he says and everything he does and the way that he acts is in service to that. I feel like it's weird to say, no offense, that you like the characters but don't like the dialogue, because I feel like the dialogue is in service of the characters so much.
Sorry. Also, I feel like the dialogue is also part of what makes the characters, you know?
For sure,
Not
that's
just
what-
that vegan line, but also like that one that you had mentioned. There's several others I can't think of off the top of my head. But I think that not just like how they look on screen, but the dialogue, especially for this one, is so heavily like selling like who these characters are.
I think look and dialogue is the foundation of what makes a character a character. So I don't know. I think what you said too, like it's kind of confusing how you like the character but don't like the dialogue, because that's like how we know who they are.
I don't know how to like explain it fully. It's like dialogue can influence the character and like make up who they are, like you guys are saying. But if you say a line of dialogue that's out of place and just doesn't feel right, but like kind of feels on par with the character, I'm still gonna be in the mud about it. Like how Scott, like you've said, is like this awkward incel type character. Right. Him kind of lingering on like tongue is kind of like on par for that character, but it just feels weird enough where I'm like, he didn't really have to say that. He's got other things in this movie that make him that incel character.
So would you say it just kind of like took you out of the moment? Like,
Yeah.
What you said.
Yeah,
Like,
I guess
okay.
that might
So
be
it's
it.
outside of like the character's control. Just why would you write that? Kind of
Yeah.
thing? Okay. I can understand that. All right.
Sorry,
6.
guys.
It's pretty much like a 3v1 at this point.
Yeah, dude,
it really is.
It's a bad day to be Luke
Two dudes
Brewer.
talk movies. Luke doesn't know. But let's see what
I've
else.
always said that.
The 7 Evil X's, I think, are mostly fine. I know I just said it. I like the characters.
Yeah.
But something about them just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know if it's like I just don't understand their motive, but like, why do they all just serve Gideon? And like, did Gideon decide that whoever's next is going to do it? Or is he just like, oh, well, all you guys maybe you can have her, but I want her in the end anyway. Like their motives just felt a little off to me.
Okay. let's cut the here. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like, I guess I understand what the motive, but I guess the whole point is that all of these dudes want to get back with Ramona. The whole thing is that they beat Scott, they get back with Ramona. And I mean, say what you will, but every chud wants to be with a Ramona Flowers, and like every single one of those 7 evil exes is one of them. So I don't know. In my opinion,
I can tell he's getting annoyed at me now.
no.
I want to pose a question to the group.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Have you ever yearned?
Yearn?
Have we ever yearned?
I have not.
Oh yes.
That's yearned for what?
Yearned for a partner.
If that's like what? Like Ramona Flowers?
Like Ramona Flowers. Have you ever wanted someone so bad? I think that's what the movie's trying. No.
Yeah, no, I see what you're. I'm picking up what you're
Okay,
putting
I
down.
like Ryan
Cam.
gets in
I'm
there.
picking up what you're putting down because it's like they want someone so bad that they're willing to make a whole league to do it
Bro.
and to kill this one dude.
Yeah, so camera died or whatever. But yeah, we're talking about yearning, man, and just like,
Yeah, man.
have you ever looked at someone? You know, I don't know our sexual preferences, but
Talk about sexual preferences on 2D's Talks Movies.
That's crazy.
I don't know what we yearn after. But have you ever looked at somebody or something like, man, I need that with a D, and just like I will do anything to get it. I wouldn't fight 7 people for a girl, but
Yeah. Not even for Ramona Flowers, bro. I probably would.
I was going to say, if she looks like Ramona Flowers,
I was
definitely.
gonna say if she looks like Ramona Flowers, I'd fight 8, bro.
I think we found their sexual preferences there.
Ramona Flowers is my section. You
Bro,
yes, got it for me. Yeah, but yeah, we're just talking stuff.
But
I
yeah,
forgot what we started with, but it doesn't matter. You can go to your
Yeah, go to your next.
the last one,
Evil Con.
the last evil
I'm
con.
very interested about
Yeah,
this
you
last
guys
evil
have done
con.
so well tearing my opinions down so far. So let's see you do it one more
Very
time.
receptive and understandable.
Yeah. But okay, the last one I think is probably the most like reasonable one out of those if you had to choose.
All right.
There's a lot of subtle discrimination in this movie.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know that it was like maybe back at a time where like nobody thought twice about it. But now I'm watching it and thinking twice about it.
Talking about Chinese people specifically, right?
That's part of it.
Yeah.
So there's like a scene in I think it's a music record store is where they're at.
Yeah.
And Knives is Scott's high school friend thing. They're not really even dating.
Yeah.
They're just kind of, I don't know what label to call that.
Situationship.
That one.
Yeah.
Nice.
There you go.
But so yeah, they're talking. She's like, do you want to come over for dinner? And Scott's like, oh, I don't know. That might not be such a good idea. And she's like, well, I want you to meet my parents. And he's like, well, what are you going to have for dinner? Is it Chinese food?
Yeah.
And it's like subtle, like you wouldn't think about it, but like
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Funny
So
because
like,
racist is the
Yeah.
name of it.
yeah. And then there's another one that's later on where like they consistently just make fun of Wallace for being gay.
Yeah.
Or like gay jokes the entire time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It
Yeah.
just wasn't funny to me.
Yeah, I think that definitely like for the time, like that was the humor, was that like the edgy racist jokes, the edgy LGBTQ jokes. And I think that like a lot of that shit really wouldn't fly today.
Yeah.
Again, I kind of watch it for like at the time that was okay. I think that most of that stuff worked also like in service of like what the story was trying to do, and also it fits like with like the rest of the jokes that they were trying to do as well. Yeah, that's how I feel.
I think this kind.
Oh no, after you.
I think it kind of relates to that. You scroll back through Twitter to see what your favorite artist was tweeting about in like 2010, 11.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and then now we're looking at it now like, what's your deal? Like Matt was saying, it's kind of like that was probably hilarious at the time, and like super like one of the funniest shows you could probably make at the time. But now looking at it, it's kind of like you look down upon like what were you thinking? Just because times have changed, like I can't say obviously they're inappropriate, but considering the time, that's what kind of I assume everyone was laughing at. So it
Yeah.
was just okay. I'm not saying it's okay now, but trying to be in that person's or being that I don't know, just being a person in 2010 that can understand these type of jokes. You know, who cares at that time? But now it's just like, what's your problem?
Yeah.
What's up?
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, and also too, I mean, and I'm not gonna say that this is a good or a bad thing. Well, I don't know. I just need to say what I'm gonna say. Like, how many movies in like the 2010s had like full on like guys making out in it, like Scott Pilgrim did? I feel like not many, right?
Now that I think about it, probably not.
I mean, and so but I also feel like in a way that was also kind of servicing, like you said, that kind of like, oh, edgy, like it's not really like accepted at the time. Whereas now I feel like something like that is a little more normal or something we might see in a movie. But
For sure. What was it? I think not full on making out, but The Office. I think Michael might have kissed a guy or two.
Oh, yeah, when Michael
That's
kisses
based.
Oscar.
does Two Dudes Talk Movies have any kissing in it or no?
That happens.
No
later.
comment.
BTS.
That happens after the credits roll.
Yeah, behind the scenes when that
Once the outro stops, it's all fair game.
Yeah, fair game. That's when the cameras get turned off.
But yeah. All right, so those are your 7.
Congrats, you guys. You did
Okay,
it.
so
on,
Luke,
man.
did you like anything about the movie then, or no?
I did.
You know, this is
What did you like about it?
This is like 20-something minutes of just Luke
I know. I'm
talk
so
how much
sorry,
he hates
guys. This is
That's what
twice
we
now
turned
since I've been
into.
co-host that I've done this. It's a problem.
It's valid.
But we need it. When everybody else in here loves something, we need one person, one brave Luke Brewer.
I'm gonna be that
take
guy
on
to
the
ruin
world.
your
You're that
day,
ninth-
actually.
You're
Yeah.
that one doctor who doesn't recommend like the toothpaste. You know,
Oh,
they
yeah.
say 9
9 out of 10 doctors
Yeah, you're
recommend
the one that
toothpaste, but
doesn't.
not Luke Brewer.
It's Luke Brewer versus the world, y'all.
Maybe that's what we should title the episode.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. Things I did like though. So on my rating, whenever I give it later, the rating I give it is listed as the word good on my scale. I know that might fluctuate depending on how you rate things, but the scale that I use for the Den here in Nerdism, that's just how it is. So there are things I do like about this movie. I do think it is a good movie. Cinematography is one of those. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like I said, with some of that editing and like the cuts and stuff didn't work for me. But it does feel kind of like a comic book movie, how Ryan said earlier on, and it comes up later throughout the film too. There's like these split frames where two characters are talking. There's that solid, bold line in between them. I know you're just cutting my face right now, but it's fine. But like you'd have a character over here talking, yapping about whatever, and then somebody else over here is yapping, talking about whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I know. It was a lovely diagram.
A lot of hands.
Yeah, it was a lovely diagram. But no, like I like that. That to me like felt how as a comic, because I read a lot of comics as it is, and so seeing that stuff like that does feel like it's pulled right out of the page and
Right.
slapped on the screen. That also kind of ties in with some of the aspect ratio changing a
Yeah.
lot here and there. Every time they go into the, I think it's, I wrote it down. Subspace highway.
Yeah.
Whenever Ramona keeps going through Scott's head, the aspect ratio will change and be more cinematic.
Yeah.
And so like I know I'm gonna do another diagram, but like the border lines like normally would be up here for most of it, and then every time they go in the subspace, it'll like close in a little bit.
Yeah.
We could probably change it. Like,
Probably snap real quick.
yeah.
Oh,
I don't know how to do it.
This is
I
so
can
cinematic.
figure
This
it.
is so cool. Wow.
I'll do it.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what you mean.
That'd be cool. All right.
Yeah.
No, I was just thinking about like editing that.
Yeah.
Editing
And then it goes
whatever.
back. But yeah, so I liked some of the stuff like that.
Yeah.
Acting is another great thing.
Yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
every single actor
Oh,
in this movie. I have no complaints.
Kieran Culkin's like really fun.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
yeah. I like him in a lot of things as is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think Chris Evans also.
Oh, yeah.
I know his role is kind of short-lived, but dude, every time I see him, he makes me laugh. Like when he's like going down to help him, he's like, oh no, I didn't know that, bro. Come, give me that. Boom! I was like, yes, dude. It was fire. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I think it reminds me of an interview Robert Downey Jr. did at one point when he was talking about working with Chris Evans about a bunch of different movies. I think it was like around when Civil War came out. Yeah. And he was saying that Chris Evans is one of those guys that's like truly talented about it, but doesn't take himself seriously enough, so he can play whatever he wants and do it all so well and then just roll off of it. So like seeing him do something that's different, I guess, from the different stuff that I've seen in him, and doing something that's a little more silly and whimsical, and just him having a good time doing it, but playing it so seriously is great.
I feel like Will Smith's another one of those characters that like, you know, he probably takes himself more serious, but I feel like he's been in a lot of different roles. Because you can think of what's that movie called, Hitch, and then he'll be in something like After Earth, and then like The Pursuit of Happiness, and that just kind of goes with. I don't know if Chris Evans has as much range as Will Smith does. I know we're kind of talking about he can do whatever, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they're both given the same role, obviously it'll be different performances, but one will definitely be better than the other.
Yeah, kind of like the difference between actors like Chris Evans and Michael Cera. Like Michael Cera kind of gets typecast as like that nerdy guy. I mean, the two off the top of my head are Superbad and Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah,
you know?
and we were talking about Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
He's another one that we
Yeah.
really think typecast.
Oh no, I wasn't. I was just agreeing.
Yeah.
Mindlessly agreeing.
Another thing with that, like how I said, I like the characters, but I don't like the dialogue. I think some of that might just be the way that they act, like their actions, not what they say. More so is what I like. Like how you mentioned that example with Chris Evans' character, like being like, "Oh, don't worry, bro, I got you." He helps him up and then pushes him right back down. Boom! Like that's in character, and I like that character part of it. Not that I want to go like shoving people down after helping them up, but like it ties in with the way that that character works. And so I kind of like that. And then each character has that distinct vibe to them in style, whether it's in their outfits or the people that are playing them. and the way that they're acting and just doing different stuff. I like all of that. I think humor is another thing, despite some of the more edgy, I don't want to say like
2010 humor.
Yeah, some of the 2010 humor. There's still moments that make me laugh. Like,
Oh yeah.
What's a good one to point out? Oh, I like you got the two bands that are dueling each other. Yeah. There's two of the exes that are in a band versus Sex Bomb, and like they just completely are like freaking out about it. They're like, what do we do? What do we do? And Scott just slaps him and he's like, you got to get over it. If I can put my personal life away, so can you, and slaps him again. And then they play it and crush it. So like, I'm laughing at that. I think it's fun. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think honestly the humor is one of the things that makes it stick out a lot for me. I feel like it's just got a very like endearing sense of like comedy. I mean, obviously it does have, like we said, the dark stuff, but I feel like that also is a testament to like, I've watched a lot of videos about just like how close the cast and the crew are for that, or like more so the cast with like the director, and how it was just like a really good environment on set. And I feel like you can kind of see that with the performances that are given by these people. I think they let a lot of that kind of fun side of themselves come out, and I think it all really works for those like jokes, like you were saying, when he's like smacking him across the face. Like, I thought Kieran Culkin was hilarious in the movie. He was cracking me up a lot. So just, I don't know. I like you said, I think the humor is one of those things that just really like, it takes it from a 9 to a 10.
And I'll agree with you that the humor does make it stand out, but it wasn't funny to me. Like, I know I said Kieran Culkin's kind of like the only person I can I laughed at. Maybe a couple Michael Cera jokes, but for the most part, it wasn't funny, but I can understand why it's funny. I'll say that much.
Right, that makes sense. Again, it's very 2010. To me, I guess I just feel like the humor, I felt like it was very funny, but also I feel like it's very unique too to that movie, and that's also what I like about it. Is like, I can't remember the last time I watched a movie like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. You know, for better or for worse, and especially for better.
I think I might have.
What's that?
It's kind of the sequel. Scott Pilgrim takes off.
Oh,
now,
and I really liked that too.
So I do as well. Thing like how you said, where it this movie kind of lets those characters like toy around with their roles. I think the semi-sequel anime does the same thing as well, also really well. That's one of the things I like about that one as well, is because it takes the movie in a different direction. I think it's where the script of the first movie is the script, but the characters are the real characters playing themselves, but it diverges in plot if Scott loses the first fight and doesn't win, I think.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
But it's really cool, and I think it's a nice way to still be able to go into that world, still dive in with those same characters, and still kind of have something new and fresh. And I also too, I loved the studio who animated it. I think it was something that was super faithful to like that comic book style. And I think overall, I just think it had like a really, really good look to it. But I watch a lot of different animes, and I've seen some shows that are just animated like the most like doo-doo dog water stuff you've ever seen, man. And I don't think the show is one of them.
Yeah. Also, I haven't actually seen the show, but I've seen like the animation style and stuff. And I like how also the animation style is very faithful to the source material. And even, you know, talking about like the pacing and stuff for the movie, they had so much source material to cover in an hour and 52 minutes. And I think that they do a great job of kind of getting through that in that amount of time.
Well, I yapped for about half this episode, so let's hear from somebody else.
I think we all kind of, I feel like I kind of gave my points while discussing your points at the same time. Let me think.
I know I've got something I'd like to say.
What's up?
I would like to mention too, just like, I love just like all the little like hidden references to things. Like, I remember like there's like this scene where Scott's like, I think he's like in his head and he's in like this like school, and like the fairy theme from Zelda's playing in like the background. It's just all these little references. Like the band's called Sex Bomb. I feel like it's just all this like big love letter to like media and just like nerd culture and stuff. And I love the amount of things that they did to do like I love that you actually have like names being mentioned, game things. It's not like I feel like when you like watch like a movie and they're playing some like off-brand generic bullshit first-person shooter, you can always tell. So hearing like Zelda themes and stuff like that, I feel like it just really helped build up that vibe. And also as just like from like a sound point of view, I think it was really, really fun. I think it was really nifty. I love how like almost in some of those fights, it would feel like an arcade game with just like all the different like graphics and just like the sound. background. Like it's really what sells these scenes. I mean, if you turn a scene in Scott Pilgrim on mute, and I guarantee you're gonna have a whole different viewing experience. But I guess that's also too like that kind of goes for every single thing ever, bro. Yeah. Is he spitting or no?
No, I mean you're absolutely right, but I think that like the sound design, especially for Scott Pilgrim, like everything working is so contingent upon that sound design. I think you really get that after the first half hour of it, where like you start actually getting into like the fights and stuff. Where you get like the punches and the kicks and everything like that. They don't sound like they're actually getting punched and kicked. You know, like it's all heightened. You know, and I think that the sound design just adds to like the visual style that like they're going for.
Yeah. I don't really have anything else to add to that other than like
I've got a follow up. And it's the only other thing I had written down. I was going to bring it up later anyway. But along with details, numbers play a big part of this movie, believe it or not. With the 7 evil X's, each X has a corresponding number each time they appear. So Matthew Patel's the first one, and during that fight, he holds up one finger, and then his finger lights on fire. So he's the first evil X.
Yeah.
When Lucas Lee shows up, he walks out of a trailer with number 2. And there's 2s all across the movie set. He's the second evil X.
I had noticed that.
And then Todd wears a shirt with the number 3 on it. He's the third.
Right.
Roxy Richer fights Scott at a club that has the number 4 on the building. She's the fourth. This one was a little harder to spot, but the Katayanagi twins, I probably butchered that pronunciation, but their amps are turned up at 11, which is the highest they go. And 11 is a sum of 5 and 6. So there's the next 2.
Right.
And then Gideon has Sephiroth's sword from Final Fantasy VII, and he's the final X, which is 7.
That's crazy.
Did you know that or you looked it up?
I knew it.
Did us?
Yeah, the sword one I had to look up, but some of the other ones
cool.
I picked up as I watched.
That is crazy.
That's cool.
But I think that's just a testament to like how much love this movie was made with. Like little details like that, things in the background. It's all just very cohesive with just like the like way it's written, the things in the background, the set design, places. I think it's all just a very cohesive, and I think it's a great example of like a movie building up like a world and building up like a universe. And that's why I really like it. And I've been trying to watch it for a lot of inspiration for stuff I've been working on, because I just love the way that it builds a world and really gets you invested into this place and these characters. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. I do have a question for you guys though, for the 2 dudes that talk movies here at this table. I have a question about character, how you guys feel about Scott Pilgrim's character, because for me that was one of the big things I had noticed on this watch through. When you get introduced to Scott, he's not really this likable person right off the bat, you know. He's dating a high schooler, he's 22, like his living situation is not great, but not just that, but even like as like the story goes along, like he's really like cheating on Knives Chow, you know? Yeah. And that's why when I was watching it back, what I had told Ryan was like, man, I feel bad for this girl. Like I feel so bad for her, like rewatching it. So do you guys feel like that takes you out of like the viewing experience, like seeing like the protagonist like doing all these unlikable things right off the bat, especially in a movie like this where it's not dark and dreary and it's like you're not supposed to like them and that's the point. But a movie like this where like it's fun and light and comedic, but the protagonist is kind of doing these unlikable things in it.
I'm not one to really get attached to characters, and that doesn't kind of make or break a movie for me. But just like for the sake of the question, I think it adds more depth to the character, which isn't really not that it's not effective, but it doesn't play a big role in how much I enjoy the movie, because we're spent so little on this other side of him that we're not really with. Like you said, it only takes like half an hour. Obviously, you think it's kind of weird this 20-year-old is dating a high school chick and, you know, talking crazy to other people and stuff like that. But for the most part, it doesn't really play a role to me. I kind of go off of your actions and your intentions, and because this isn't a big part of the ending or or the conclusion, then it doesn't really.
See, but I would argue that his relationship with Knives Chow is like the big thing of the movie, because of like the way that like he's like going after Ramona.
Back and forth, yeah.
And that's the whole like point, is that like he sees this girl, that's who he wants to be with. You know, I guess to me, I think that it works really well, because I think it not only makes Scott a more like realistic character, but like we've already seen like the nerdy trope of like the incel who like just can't get the girl, you know? Yeah. I think this adds another like level of depth to his character, but also it's just something new that we haven't really seen before.
Fair point.
I think for me, I don't know, like a character for me to like them doesn't have to be like God's perfect saint, you know? Like they can still be flawed, but I still like them as a character. Like yeah, inherently dating a minor is wrong. That's not good.
It's
I
illegal.
don't like that. It's illegal too. But like, Scott's still a good character. I still like watching his character interact with other characters and go about the world that they're in.
And these this isn't a character, just my eyesight. I don't see this type of character a lot because I don't watch these type of movies that often. So this is kind of new to me.
And I think there's something to be said too about like tone and how these like actions and how he does these things are shown on screen. And I feel like when it's shown in this way of like everything is so lighthearted and it's shown in such like a heightened way, it's almost hard to take those things seriously. And like you said, by the time you're through that first half hour, you're watching him fight all these evil exes and you're just kind of like, oh, well, this is our protagonist. This is our guy. This is Scott Pilgrim. At least that's how it is to me.
Yeah.
Right. Did you guys notice that whenever Scott Pilgrim is playing the arcade game with Knives Chow, and they're doing like the ninja dance and everything?
Yeah.
There's called back to at the very end whenever they're fighting Gideon together. I noticed that, but also I noticed as well, like whenever like he's like looking at her and the game's like continue and like it's like flashing and everything. I think in that moment he's trying to make a decision of whether or not he wants to continue his relationship with Knives Chow.
Yeah.
You know? Because he sits there and he's staring at her. It's like continue and it's flashing 5, 4, 3, 2. Eventually he's like looking at her like, are you going to hit the button? Are you going to do whatever? And then she makes the choice to stay with him. And so I think that it's very interesting then at the very end, they make that choice that Knives Chow like doesn't need Scott in her life anymore.
I noticed it, but I didn't relate it to the ending. Like I just noticed how the way he was looking at her earlier.
Yeah, I feel like the move, because they're playing like some kind of, it's like a Dance Dance Revolution,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
like a ninja game. If you go back and you watch like the moves that they're doing, that's how they like take down Gideon at the end. It's like
Yeah,
those,
that's
like,
the part I
moves.
noticed. The continue one, like I saw it on screen with the continue, but I didn't think about it in terms of like the relationship with Knives.
And even at the very final shot of the movie, as he walks into that final door, it's the continue thing. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. It's all a big countdown, you know. What comes next? Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything else to say? Comment on?
Yeah, that was the big stuff. I think that the movie is very unique. That's my most favorite thing about it. I think when people are like, "What's your favorite thing about the movie?" and people are like, "The editing, the cinematography, like this, that, or the other." I think that why this movie is so perfect to me is because it's kind of a culmination of all those things. I think that the editing is super solid, the acting is great, the story is engaging, interesting, different, and not only is the execution great on all of those levels, but the movie itself is just so unique. And again, I haven't seen anything like it outside of what you had said was another Scott Pilgrim thing. And I don't think that this is a movie we'll see anything like for the next 15 years either.
And I think this movie too is just like, I think this movie in a way is a time capsule. It's a showing of all of these different people in a completely different time in a movie being made. And just like, I feel like you don't see a lot of movies like Scott Pilgrim nowadays, or I feel like I haven't seen a lot of movies like that. And I think that's what makes it just so intriguing and so interesting to me. And I'm also somebody who just I love a lighthearted movie. I'm somebody who doesn't need to be like dragged down when I'm watching something or be shown this horrendous tragedy to really get into something. And so to have a movie where I can just kind of have something a little more lighthearted and just be able to really just enjoy this thing and still have like fun characters, people that I can be engaged in, interested in, some cool action, it makes it just like a very like good, cohesive movie experience for me. And it's a reason I put it as my number one, because it's one of those movies that I think is very, I hate to say it sounds so dramatic, but like inspirational to me. I just love how it's filmed. I love the style. I love just like the culture around it. I think it's a really good film. So I think it's definitely a worthy two dudes talked about film, in my
It's not
opinion.
dramatic to say it's an inspiration, man. Whatever inspires you, inspires you.
And I was gonna say too, also because like we're all like production kids here, you know. So
Yeah.
it's like even like I'm sure like as you were watching it, you were picking up on like the way they were editing things, like the
sure.
transitions and stuff. And it's like to me, like as a production student, I have so much more appreciation for that stuff.
I think we're done talking about other stuff, so so we can go into ratings. Ryan, so you have the mic.
Yeah, I'll give it a star. It is literally listed as my favorite movie on Letterboxd. I give this movie a 5 stars. I love it. To me, and I totally understand why everybody wouldn't think it's a perfect movie. To me, this is a perfect movie. I love it. I love everything about it. 5 stars. Scott Pilgrim versus the World for Ryan Bevers.
Okay.
Yeah, I had mentioned this also off camera, but when I rate movies, I don't just rate it based on how I liked it personally, but how well the movie is at achieving what it's trying to do. And again, I think that the movie executes on all levels. I think the cinematography is great. The visual effects are awesome. I think the acting is perfect. And I think that everything is just executed on such a high level that I can't give it anything more than a perfect score. It's going to get 5 out of 5 stars from me.
Okay. I'm going to...
I messed that up. Hang on.
Yeah.
I double tapped it on
Perfect,
accident.
thank
My
you for
bad,
that.
guys.
Huzzah.
I think on Letterboxd, I gave it a 3.5. I'm going to give it a 4 now. I think after having this conversation, I rated it right after, which I typically do, so I won't forget. And I don't really sit with movies other than this podcast and really think, or unless I'm writing a review, to really sit and think like how I really feel about it. But after having this conversation, I can really appreciate it more. But the only two reasons why it's not getting a 5 from me is because for me to give a movie a 5 out of 5, I have to walk away feeling differently. Like, you know, those memes where it's like, my life changed after watching this movie and stuff like that. That just didn't happen for me. And another reason it doesn't get a 4.5 is because it's just not my type of movie. Like, I might watch it again, but I'm not like, you know, I just don't plan on watching it again. One, because I don't really watch movies again, but it didn't have anything that made me want to watch it again. I know we were talking about your takes are pretty interesting and some things that you can't.
They're hot takes. They're not interesting. They're hot takes.
No, but they gave you something. They gave us all something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely they did.
And we were talking about that off when we were fixing the camera or whatever, just like having these conversations with people of different perspectives is better than all of us just nodding our head like, oh, you like that too? I like it too, you know?
Right, exactly.
So, but yeah, I don't really plan on rewatching it. And it's just generally not my type of movie. Not saying it's bad, because this is a very well-made movie, but it's just, I don't know, it's just not for me.
Yeah. All right, 4 out of 5.
There we go.
Brewer.
Here we go.
So I watched this, I think, would have been maybe a year and a half ago first. And I rated it a 3 out of 5 then. And then whenever you guys said that we want to watch this movie, I went and rewatched it. So I had notes for it. And then if there's something that changed since watching it the first time, I could revisit. But unfortunately, I don't think anything's changed. My rating will still stay a 3.5 out of 5. Right. There's a lot of stuff that I think for me just didn't work, as I ranted for like 25 minutes about with the 7 evil cons, but there are like good style and characters in this, and it does have a vibe to it that I enjoy with, and like Ryan said,
It does.
Man, gentlemen, this has been a fun conversation. I've enjoyed talking to you. I mean, we all talk all the time.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, boys. I've always wanted to do this, especially as a graduating senior.
Yes,
I've
sir.
wanted to be able to come on for this for a long time. To me, it's long overdue.
Yes,
and
sir.
it's a
Yes,
pleasure
sir.
to be on with you and talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like we're all friends outside of this too. So I thank you guys for bringing us on,
Yes, sir.
letting us pick the movie, and for the interesting conversation too. Again, because what we had said was we don't want to sit here and nod our heads and be like, yeah, it's great, yeah, it's awesome. You know, I enjoy having a conversation where people can disagree about stuff.
For sure. In a respectful manner. I hope we didn't take it too far.
Yeah,
but-
so-
Yeah, we love you, Luke.
Yeah,
Well, all right then. I think we're good here. Thank you all for watching. We're back. Man, I think I just counted. I think after this episode, I think I have 6 more episodes. 6 more
it's gonna fly by.
Yeah, I want to get one more movie. My mom just told me I forgot one of my favorite movies that I haven't talked about here, so I'll try to get that in before I graduate. But yeah, thank you all for watching. We are the Two Dudes Talk Movies podcast. I'm Cam.
I'm Luke.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Matt.
Yes, sir. And we will see you all next week. Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.